Hey everyone, so I just wanted to create a quick video comparing three of the e-readers that I have here. This is the original one that I have, the Kindle Voyage. This is the Kobo Libra 2. It's the black and white version that's been out for a few years. And this is the brand new Kobo Libra Colour, also in black, so that's easy to compare. So mainly I want to compare the screen colors and the reading, how clear it is to read the text, and how bright you need to make the screen in order to read in different conditions. Okay, so to compare the readers, I'm currently in a fairly well lit room. So this is the Kindle. As you can see, the brightness is at 0 right now. Same with this one. Brightness is at 0. With no natural light. That's the Libra 2, and then this is the color. Oops, sorry. This is the color, 0 brightness. As you can see on the cover alone, this one is quite a bit dimmer looking. Alright, so let's compare the Kindle and the Kobo Libra 2. Pretty similar in terms of brightness and the contrast of how clear the text is. But I would say that the Kindle one, the text is actually a little bit more clear, like crisp. The font is a little bit different, but just to give you an idea, I guess. Okay, 0%. But when you compare the color, you can see that the color is much darker. Like, look at this. And the screen is much darker in the background. Now, if I were to set this one to about the same brightness as the Libra 2, I would say, I want to see like the text to be about, the whiteness to be about the same, would require maybe a 17% brightness to be about the same. And if you want the screen to look more like this one, like more yellowish, screen colors are a little different in these two, so I'll need to adjust the natural light and the brightness a bit. So maybe more like, for my naked eye, here. So right now I have 41% brightness, and natural light is around here. Mid part, a little bit more than mid part, and compare the text. It's closer. So as you can see, you need to keep the brightness fairly high at around 41%, and in order to get a similar effect as the Libra 2 and the Kindle Voyage, which is a really old device. Okay, here it is again. Compare to this one. And let's just do a comparison with this one as well. The Kindle. Okay. So if I had to put this one at 41%, and the temperature has to be about the same as the color, it would be much brighter, whiter, and the text is more clear on the Libra 2. Okay. So this is 100% brightness with no natural light at 0. So as you can see, all three of them are pretty bright. With my eyes, I would say that the Libra 2 is the brightest. And then it's the Kindle Voyage. And then it's the Kobo Libra Colour. Also text-wise, read how clear the text is. These two are both pretty clear, pretty similar. I would say that the black on the Kindle Voyage is actually more dark. So it's a little bit easier to read. compared to this one, the two Kobos, Libra 2 and the Libra Colour, the text on the Colour is definitely not as black, and the screen is not as white, so the contrast is not as high. It's a little bit harder to read. But if you just had this with no comparison, I don't think it's a big deal. But that is what you get for some black and white reading with 100% brightness and 0 natural light. These are now both at 25 with maximum natural light. And as you can see, the text is a lot dimmer on the Colour. Harder to read. But if you needed to match it, then I would say you would need about a 37% brightness to match a 25% on the Libra 2. And this one, the Colour is more yellow when it comes to the natural light. So as you can see, these are both maximum already, but the screen is more yellow on this one. So if I wanted to make them somewhat similar, like this, be somewhat close, and you compare the settings when their colors and brightness are somewhat close. This Libra 2 is only using 25% brightness, this one's using 37% brightness, and this one's going all the way for the natural light, and this one's like about 80%. Okay, but as you can see, the advantage of the Colour is color. So if you were to read storybooks, kids books, like I have Paw Patrol here, it is much nicer. Let's tune down. Okay. See colors. Flip the page. You can see the text. They're both pretty easy to read, but Colour is obviously more colorful. They would look like you're reading an actual book. Of course, the words are a little small in this case, but it's quite nice. So what about if I'm outside or right by the window? So right now I'm right by the window with an overcast, and I'm going to set the brightness to 0 on all of these, as well as the natural light to 0. Okay, let's compare the Kindle and the Kobo Libra 2. Very easy to read, very bright with good contrast. I would say, yeah, they're both very easy to read, very similar. At 0%, when you compare the two Libras, the Libra 2 and the Colour is definitely harder to read because the screen is much darker at 0%. Okay, so if you were to read outside and have a similar black and white experience as the Libra 2, then you would have to tune up your brightness. Check this out. You would need a 70% brightness to have a similar experience, so that will definitely use up more battery. Just something to consider, even though this one does have, I think, double the battery size capacity. But even then, I think the Libra 2 reads better, the old one, because the text is actually more dark, more black. Okay. So let's just compare the color, just to give you a sense of outside 70%, what the colors look like. It's pretty nice. Okay. Now what about reading at night? So right now I have very, very little light in the room, and I have blackout curtains. This is around 10% on the Kindle. This is around 17% brightness on the Libra 2. And this is 26% on the color. Alright, we're not going to compare this one because this just doesn't have the natural lighting. But reading is very easy as well. The text is very clear. These two, if you have the brightness like looking similar, you can see that the Libra 2 reads a little bit easier, slightly. Just because the black is more black. But it's pretty good, I would say still. Now for those of you who don't use such a high natural light, let's just do like here, about 80%. Pretty similar if this brightness is at 26 and this brightness is at 17. Now of course if you set this to 17, it's not gonna be the same. There you go. The color is still dimmer. See here. And for those who don't use the natural light or have a somewhat dimmer natural light, look more like that. I have noticed that the color is slightly faster. Page turns are pretty similar, but the loading of books, for example, is definitely faster on the color. So let's open up Upside Down Magic again. See, this one opens much faster. Let's try that again. Let's open a different book that we have downloaded. Let's open up Adventure Bay again. Yeah, this one loads faster. It's covered. The other thing I wanted to know in my experience is that this one, you wouldn't notice the weight if you only had this one. But once you started using this, you feel it in your hand that there's a difference in the weight. It's also a little thinner and more ergonomic for my hand at least. So it's actually much easier to hold for me, the new one, with one hand versus this one. And it just feels, it's just thicker. The back also has these patterns which are more grippy in my opinion. It's also recyclable. These ones, this one's the old one, the Libra 2 is nice too. It's less grippy. It's just heavier. Hope this helps with your decision. In conclusion, I think that if you want color, then definitely get the color. That's the obvious choice. But if you primarily read black and white and color is kind of optional or not that important to you, then getting the Libra 2 would be a good deal, especially if it's on discount. Or even just keeping with your old Kindle, whatever e-reader you have. It's definitely faster, more ergonomic, but the main thing is whether you want to read color or not. The overall experience, if you don't compare it side by side, it's pretty good on the color. So you just have to know that you need to turn up the brightness more compared to what you might be used to. For some, it might be a deal breaker, but for my kid who likes to read color books and sometimes chapter books, then this is the choice for him. I will be keeping these two for myself. Okay, hope you found this video helpful. If you do, please give a like and subscribe. And comment down below on what you might choose and what might be good for you, and if I've missed any comparison that you might want to see again. Thank you.